It was Texas, it was Tennessee.
All righty, welcome in, folks. You have arrived at the Texas to Tennessee podcast. Shout out to our friends Lucero for the intro music. And my name's Steve. On the upper left-hand corner is our friend Soul Gravy. And tonight we have a treat for you. Sheyna G is here to chat with us, and we couldn't be more excited about it. So welcome, Sheyna.
Howdy, thanks for having me.
Yeah, been looking forward to this. So
Me too, and Christmas is too.
what's up, Christmas?
Dude,
There
I
you go.
was like, why are you petting me? I'm taking a nap.
Oh, what a beauty.
They
Oh,
yeah, I was just aggravating our doggy too. It's like, they when they want attention, but then when they don't, they just wish you would.
Right.
She was
Yep.
mean.
Be left
She was
alone.
mean mugging me the whole time. So
she definitely runs the roost over here.
understood.
Yep, it seems universal. Well, Sheyna, hey, maybe to get started, if you don't mind just giving us a little bit of a backstory so people are a little bit more familiar with you.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I am born and raised in LA. I started playing guitar when I was 5 years old, joined my first band when I was 6. Was a house band all through my teens at a ski resort. Then after high school, the bands break up. I was always in rock bands. And I started writing solo really for pretty much the first time in my life without writing with a band. And people kept calling me country. And I was just like, I'm not country. Country's for pussies. And, just that whole thing. And then finally had to accept the fact that the music that I was organically writing was country music, and I knew nothing about country music. And I was raised on classic rock and even like Billy Joel and Alanis Morissette, and like I'm a 90s kid, so tons of 90s grunge and whatever, and I just never thought of myself as country. So I did a deep dive of country music in my, late teens, early 20s, and got into the classics first, because I figure you got to start at, where it's from, and did my deep dive on all that. Then ended up leaning towards bands like the Old 97s and Turnpike Troubadours and that kind of music for like the more modern stuff. I never really got into this would have been in the 2010s. I never got into what was on the radio at that time. It wasn't my thing. But then Eric Church came out and I was like, oh, there is stuff on the radio that is good. And kind of, it was all history from there. And I had reached like the peak of where I felt like I could be in California at the time. I was opening for the big bands that came through town. I had good relationships with radio over there and whatever. And I was like, I don't think I can get any further in my career without moving to Nashville. And little did I know country was going to become really cool. And
Good timing.
it became popular. And a bunch of my friends from California did see a rise at the time, but I had already committed to moving to Nashville, and I loved the writing scene. And I was already coming out here for about 3 years, at least once a quarter to write. And it was becoming cheaper to live in Nashville and go back to LA when I wanted to go back to LA because I could stay with friends and family. Now things are a little different, and my apartment in Nashville is more than my apartment was back in LA.
It's wild,
But
right?
but yeah, and I've been pounding the pavement here in Nashville ever since. In 2022, my song Ghost popped off on the TikTok, and the algorithm gods gave me a win. And 2023, I was able to tour a lot of European countries, the UK, all over the States. Did that really hard for all of 2023, then realized I had only put out one song that year and wasn't doing the writing thing. So 2024, I pretty much stayed home and released a bunch of music, put out a bunch of content. And now I'm getting stir crazy and doing a little bit of both this year in 2025.
Right. It's a balance thing, right?
Yes.
For sure. All right. Well, this is the one question that's consistent that we ask in each podcast. I think we've asked it in almost every one. So it's kind of a weird one. It's called the pie question. We're going to give you a pie and we're going to ask you to divide it up into 4 sections. So
Okay.
the 4 sections all have to do with the music business. The first piece of pie is the creation of the music, so the songwriting. The second piece is the recording. The third piece is performance. And then the fourth piece is everything else that goes into running your own business. So which of those areas do you naturally gravitate to first?
Okay, are we talking gravitating, or what do I actually do the most?
Well, first we'll get to that, but maybe first I want to know which of those do you feel like, that's my thing.
It would be very evenly split between writing and performing. I love being on stage. I love connecting with people. I love hearing people's stories. I was born to sell beer. I am real good at selling alcohol at those venues, and I enjoy it because I enjoy drinking. So,
Right. Fair enough.
being on stage is a blast for me, but I'm also a highly, highly, highly sensitive, emotional person.
Okay.
So if I did not write music, I would probably have very expensive therapy bills.
Understand. Okay. So the follow-up to that, I guess, would be, where do you feel like you spend a majority of your time in those four sections?
I spend 90% of my time doing business. I
Okay.
am constantly, I do all my own booking, all my own managing. I design every album cover that you've seen, or every single cover that you've seen. And like last year, I released 8 singles. I write the music. I pretty much co-produce with whoever's producing my stuff.
Right.
I am the band leader. I do everything. That I wear all the hats, so I have to do all the business. And unfortunately, that leaves little time for writing, which is my favorite part of it.
Right.
And so I'm trying to pawn some of those jobs off on people as
As you grow. Yeah.
as
Makes
I
sense.
grow, but I haven't quite found my team yet. And it's probably a little bit because I've done it for so long. It's hard to let go of the reins. But it's getting to be the time where it's overwhelming how much business there is in the music business.
Boy, there is. And I would assume that at some point the reality of running your business became different than what you originally thought, like prior to moving to Nashville, or maybe even prior to that. Can you talk a little bit about how different? A lot of people go, "Hey, I want to move to Nashville because I know the best musicians are there. A lot of the greatest writers are there. The opportunities are there for some." But the reality of pounding the pavement and running your own business is very different than what the perception is.
I've always done the business part pretty much by myself. When I was younger, my mom helped me with it a little bit, but she made every mistake that could possibly be made. So it's made me a little bit skittish in the music industry. In my early 20s, I did have a really good band behind me. We had an 8-piece band, so I had every instrument.
Oh, wow.
And that spread the work out a little bit more. I had a fiddle player at the time that was helping with booking. And just like, it wasn't so overwhelming. He would like help me with my website and help me with all that stuff. So I could focus on the art part a little bit more. I also had a keyboard player that did a lot of the songwriting with me. So we would schedule co-writes like every week, as opposed to like Nashville where it's someone different all the time. So it's not quite, like if I was with a publisher would run my calendar and I would just show up,
Gotcha.
But I've always had a hand in the business part. It's just now I'm doing everything. When I moved to Nashville, the thing that changed, that was like a major change, was not having my band there. And I do have a band here, but since it is like my name and it's not necessarily a band, I do all of the work.
Right.
And they're more like employees of
Right.
mine, which
That makes sense.
I hate to say it like that because those dudes are my best friends.
Yeah.
Understood.
But as far as the business goes, I'm doing all of the business stuff.
makes
So
sense.
that definitely changed when I moved to Nashville.
So when I first, you've been on the schedule for a while. So when I first turned on your music, it was actually before I saw you. You do lives on TikTok quite a bit. So
Yeah.
you're great about going live from your gigs and things like that. So I think I saw one. I think it was Sunday, this past Sunday at Morgan Wallen's, I believe.
Yeah.
Saturday or Sunday, one of the two.
Nice.
But your voice, who do you get the comps who do you hear the most? Because
Yeah,
I
it
mean,
would
that's
be
the first thing that everybody that stands out.
yeah,
So
the lives that you see on TikTok, that's my day job. I always say.
understood.
But since I'm playing there so long, it's the easiest way to go live is just from Broadway, and hands down, it's Janis Joplin. Everyone says I sound like Janis Joplin, and I never listened to Janis Joplin growing up. That was not a thing. I knew who she was because she was part of like the 27 Club, and I was a big Kurt Cobain fan,
Yeah.
and like Bob Marley and stuff like that. But I didn't know who she really was, other than like as a like social icon. And I did take one semester of college, and my music teacher in college, because there's a school in California called Citrus College, and like they recorded a Gwen Stefani song there, and they have like a great music program. So I was like, if I'm gonna go to school, I'm gonna go to school for a music program. School was not for me. But I had a teacher that was like, oh my god, you sound just like Janis Joplin, and I was like, sure, whatever. Like the lady that OD'd, like, yeah, sure. And then I listened to her music. I was like, okay, like I can see it. Like we definitely both have like raspy voices, and there's not a lot of women that have raspy voices. But then the comparisons never stopped. So I thank that teacher so much for me having to learn "Piece of My Heart" and Bobby McGee, because those songs have made me more money almost than any other songs. But it would be Janis Joplin, followed by Tanya Tucker, followed by Miley Cyrus, and then Stevie Nicks.
Okay. I can hear some of those. I was actually trying to remember in my head, like Bonnie Tyler. That's who.
People say Bonnie Tyler a lot too.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, that was the "It's a Heartache." I know she had a wide career, but either way, that song was when I first heard the voice. That's what popped in my head. I guess talk about the Broadway thing. We don't, we have a lot of people that on the podcast that go to Nashville and they write in Nashville, but you you do the Broadway thing, which a lot of them don't, but you do the Broadway thing and the writing and the touring and the whole thing. Like you're not just living on Broadway, but you have those gigs also.
I definitely do. And people love to hate Broadway. They love to hate it, whether you are in the music industry, whether you're an artist, whether you're a tourist, people just love to hate it. And I kind of embraced it. I was broke as fuck when I moved to Nashville. I had $300 to my bank account, and my brother was like, "What's stopping you from moving to Nashville?" And I was like, "Money." And he gave me $1,000 loan. And nice. That motherfucker has so much money, and he did make me pay it back. And
what's family for?
Right. But after a couple months, that goes away. My rent was only $400 when I moved here, so at least there was that. But I had to get a job, and I don't like to work. And so I went down to Broadway to get a gig. And back then, gigs were, you'd be lucky if you walked home if you left with $75. Things have changed a lot since then, but when your rent's only $400, 75 is a shift is enough to make
doable,
it,
right?
Right.
Yeah, it's totally doable, but things have gotten so crazy different since back then. I moved here in 2016, so a lot different.
Quick.
Yeah. Things changed real quick. Right before the pandemic, like we were making 3 or 4 times that a shift, and we thought back then we were rolling in it, and now things have changed. But obviously, inflation's changed since then. But I am so thankful for Broadway, not just for a means to an end, but for the 4 hours of practice that I got. Because when I moved to town, we were one of the better bands in Southern California, and I was like, this is going to be great. I moved here, and I was like, I suck. And
Understood.
I really think 4 hours of practicing a show, 4 hours of practicing on guitar, 4 hours of singing, learning how to craft a song, because you're playing the biggest hits of all time every day. And people are like, oh, don't you get sick of playing Wagon Wheel? Hell no. I do not get sick of someone giving me $20 for 3 minutes of my time ever. Right. That will never make me mad. I will play Wagon Wheel all day, every day, until my hands fall off my head.
That's a good attitude.
Well, yeah, and I think it's just a different frame of mind than, it's I guess coming at it from different directions, and you seem to be, a lot of them are, not to say that you're not serious about your songs, but you also understand the other side of it, and a lot of people don't want to do covers, or and understand it takes
Absolutely.
all kinds of cons, you know,
And they can go get a job and be a bartender for their day job, or they can go work in a
whatever they
construction
need to
site and
do.
do that, and that is their prerogative and good for them.
Yep.
And so many people will go downtown and be like, I don't make any money, and that's because they're playing the deep cuts of their favorite artist of all time and whatever, and that's not going to make you any money. It's just not. That when you're drunk, you do not want to hear songs you do not know. So people get mad at like, why aren't you playing your originals? I was like, because when I go to a bar, I don't want to hear songs I don't know. So what makes me think that person wants to hear songs they don't know?
That
Now,
was actually something.
because of TikTok, I do get requests to play Ghost, and I do get requests to play my own songs, and I'm very, very, very lucky.
That's cool. Yeah.
But it's not why I'm down there. I'm not down there to get discovered. I'm down there to pay my rent.
Right.
Yeah, understood. Well, and you're not only doing that. I think that's
Yes.
the trap that a lot of people talk about, was when people are only on Broadway,
Yes.
only when they're not doing the other avenues that you're talking about. But that live, I was kind of laughing because, I mean, I play in redneck bar bands and stuff, but so dealing with crowds can be funny sometimes. And one of the things that I noticed, like people were apparently just judging from TikTok, they weren't the most engaged at like 11 o'clock on a Sunday. And
There was only about 3 people in the bar.
yeah, so you're like, fine, let's just practice my song.
Yep.
Yeah, like
We have a
that's
show next
perfect
Monday.
opportunity.
Yeah, we have a show next Monday, and we're not going to get together and rehearse. My drummer is in Lauren Elena's band, who's on tour with Rascal Flatts right now. So he's not going to be in town for us to have a band practice before then. So it's like, well, this is our band practice.
Being very efficient with your time.
Yeah.
Understood.
Yeah.
Understood. That's the making the positive out of those situations. You're not. I've even in my situation, which is nothing to near compared to what you're doing. We still do the same thing. Like if it's a dead room or whatever, you're like, how about that song we've been talking about?
Yeah.
That's exactly. So I was laughing because I was like, it's happening on Broadway too. So I enjoyed that.
Killing 2 birds with 1 stone.
No doubt about it.
Sheyna, to make you feel a little bit better, school wasn't for me either. But I did not have any real musical skills. So now I get to interview people on podcasts. But that being said, I want to talk a little bit more about your writing process. So it's one of the more interesting things, I think, when we get to talk to folks, because it seems like everybody has a little bit of a different process. So tell us a little bit about yours and kind of how you go about crafting a song.
Yeah. I have gotten to the point where this is absolutely, I feel like, horrible. It takes the art out of it, but it's just the way it is these days, where I don't write unless it's scheduled. And so I pretty much, I co-write at least once a week, sometimes up to 3 days a week. And I have a calendar, then I have some artists, some writers that I work with on like a regular basis, like they're in the rotation.
Gotcha.
And I have this like 4 lines that like in the last 3 days, I've just been like messing around with it, sitting down every like few hours to be like, can I get any further? Can I still write by myself? Is it like even possible anymore? But like the last time I did write a song by myself was I looked at the like calendar and it was in like September. And I'm like, dang, like and the only time I write by myself is when inspiration just hits.
Gotcha.
I don't like make myself sit down and write, because every time I've tried to do that, it just forces something out that's not great, and it just lives in my phone, or it doesn't even make it to the phone.
Gotcha.
So I've been this last couple of days just like, I have this like couple of lines that I'm like, okay, that's really good. What is this about? And what do I need to just continue on this song? But most of the time when I write, it is scheduled. I sit in a room with another person, sometimes 2 people. I did a 4-way write the other day, which usually is too many, but too many for me. I think that's too many cooks in the kitchen, and like there's too many ideas going around. But this one actually ended up being phenomenal because one of the guys kind of took the wheel, and it was his idea. He already had it. We all chimed in with a couple lines here and there, and we got a song done in an hour, and it was great. And actually, I've been writing with this guy. That was our 3rd or 4th write, and every song that we've written, our first one was in 23 minutes, and I'm just like, damn, this bro is fire, and I'm a pusher, and he's a pusher, and I usually tend to get in rooms with people that are a little bit more type B personalities, and I'm definitely a type A personality.
Gotcha.
And so I kind of like bulldoze people in writing rooms, which is probably, I'm sure there's some people that hate it, but there's some people that it's like, all right, well, we would have got stuck on that line and like whatever. And I'm like, let's just finish it. We can always go back at the end and tweak it and make it better.
Mhm.
So I'm definitely a pusher when I write. I'm like, if we're sitting down, I scheduled this time. We're not wasting this time. I'm finishing a song. We're not coming back to this in 3 months. Where were we on that? Like, there's a lot of people that do that.
Doesn't work. Yeah.
Yeah, it's great for them, and that's great that they can come back and like come back to a train of thought. I can't do that. I'm ADD to the max, which I know we all are now.
Yep.
And so if it doesn't get finished that day, it's probably not going to get finished. So my writing style is definitely, let's make an appointment, come in with a few ideas, you come in with a few ideas, we'll spitball, see where we're at. I always spend the first hour of a write talking. As you can tell, I'm a talker. And
Yeah, that's great.
and sometimes something just comes out of thin air. That was just like, oh, that's a line right there. You
Right.
know?
Do you prefer to start with lyrics first, or does the room kind of drive how that works, or I guess who you're writing with, even though you're in charge? Is there a certain way that you go about it?
The room dictates that for sure, because
Okay.
I've definitely gone both ways where it started with a line. And then I've gone ways where I'm writing with someone who's a better musician than me or whatever, and they have an
Sure.
idea of like a riff, and it's just like, ooh, I love that. Like, let's do something with that. Like, and I usually do ask if I'm in a room with a better musician than me, which is most of the time because I'm not very good. But if I'm in the
I don't
room
find
with
that.
like an actual guitar player that like can play like licks, like I'm
Yeah.
like, hey, do you have like a Lindsey Buckingham thing, or do you have like a like a riff you've been playing with? And that always excites me because I'm not good at that. So when I sit down, it's the same 4 chords or the same 3 chords and the same
Sure.
strumming. I have like one picking pattern that I learned when I was like 7, and I still play that exact same picking pattern. And so,
Very efficient. Yeah.
Move the capo around, right?
Yeah.
exactly.
Understood.
I guess a little bit more of a question to follow up is, do you find when you get into the rooms where you have more than 3 that there becomes almost like a performance aspect of writing where somebody may have an idea and then they kind of perform that part of it and kind of sell it that way? I don't know if that even makes sense or not, but it might.
I think I understand what you're saying, because
Yeah.
like in this write that I was in this week, like when I'm writing, I am writing to write a hit song. I don't care if it's for me. I don't care if it's for the other person. I'm going to throw out the best ideas that I have in the room. But there was a person in the room that was, every time that they were singing a line, it was like singing like Aretha Franklin and like trying to like impress
Right.
everybody in the room.
Yes.
And
yes.
and I'm like, I ain't trying to impress anybody in here. Like, I'm trying to
get
just
song
play
done.
a song. And this
Right.
person was a very pick-me person, that it was just like, this song is clearly for a specific person in the room. No one said it, nobody, whatever, but we could all
Gotcha.
tell it was for this specific person.
Right.
And it was like, hey, can you just let them sing that part? Because it'll sound better on the work.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I would imagine there is, just juggling
Egos.
all the different personalities and egos
Yes.
is probably
Yeah.
tricky the bigger the room gets. So
Oh yeah. And sometimes you're in a room like that and you don't write a single line in the song, but you still get credit for it. And we all have to accept that that's the way that Nashville is. And some people get so salty about it, of just like, oh, that person didn't even have to be in there. But it's like, you don't know that, because you don't know if we would have gotten the same thing if that person wasn't in the room.
sure. Well, better than in the room credits, right?
Yeah. I'll take him. Sometimes I'm the weakest link. I've been there for sure.
It is
where
what it
it's
is.
like,
We all give what we can. So
yeah,
what I
I don't
was
know
gonna
why
say.
I'm here, but maybe I changed the and to but, and maybe that's what made the song.
yeah, it
Each
flows.
song probably dictates which person is the weakest link in the room.
Yeah, definitely.
Understood. I was gonna ask, as far as when you were in California and everything, and you had you were writing with folks in your band. But then you get into the Nashville world and you're meeting, at least at first, strangers that you're riding with. Even though you're type A, was that intimidating? I mean, how did you handle that at the beginning?
Luckily, when I was in California, I did write with a few friends there too.
Okay.
So I was pretty well practiced on co-writing. I had been co-writing since I was probably about 14 or 15. And honestly, before then, I didn't know any better. So I didn't know to be embarrassed or intimidated.
That's
So
great.
that was one thing my mom, as a momager, definitely instilled some confidence in me. As much as she caused me issues in other ways.
Just to verify, did you say momager? Is that a
Yeah,
real
she
thing?
wasn't-
I didn't even know about this.
She wasn't like my mom is a tech. She does echoes on the heart.
Oh, cool.
And she was a single mom, and she did my booking when I was little, and helped me out with picking outfits and hiring photographers and doing that. So she wasn't necessarily a manager, but she by default became
Doing
my
yeah.
momager. But I was on the
That's
cover of a guitar book when I was little, and they ended up making 5 series of it and using the same images, and I didn't get $1 from that. And the book ended up selling millions of copies and stuff like that. And she was not. Oh, but the company that put out the book did give me guitars, but they were $300 girl guitars. And I say girl guitars because they were made for girls, and because that's how things were in the 90s and 2000s.
Right. Well, I mean, those are the steps that you got to go through, right, to learn kind of what to do and what not to do. So,
and what not to do. And
yeah.
she definitely taught me what not to do every single time.
Well,
Yeah.
that's part of it. Just don't repeat the same thing again. That's the
For sure.
that's the lesson. Understood. I'm not saying that we all we all have repeated those things,
Right.
but the goal is to not. But
Yes.
Such is life. But
Such is life, for sure,
yeah.
man.
We have a new song out, I think about 10 days ago or so. My math not being
Yes.
100% correct, but would you like to tell us about it? And I think we would like to play it and let everybody listen to it.
Yes, absolutely. So this is definitely a departure from the sad songs that are my brand and have built me on TikTok. And I was working with a producer last year who definitely was pushing for me to put out a little bit more of a party song. So I got together in a room with my producer at the time, Matt McClure, and then Nicole Witt. And we were we always start with how do you feel today? Whatever, and all of us were feeling great that day and just happy and on top of the world and positive. It was a beautiful sunny day. And it's let's write a banger. Let's write a freaking banger. And he had the idea of, he's I don't know what this is, but Till the Rooster Crows. And I was I mean, what do you think of a Garth Brooks Ain't Going Down Till the Sun Comes Up, kind of barn burner, whatever. And they were yeah, let's do that, but with the Gretchen Wilson feel. And I never try to be anybody that I'm not. But Gretchen Wilson definitely left a gap in the country industry that has not been filled of just
For sure.
a real ass bitch. And we wrote. It was another one of those songs, literally Nicole in her head. I had the line of, I still act like someone half my age when Mercury's in retrograde in my phone. And I had put it to 3 different songs that I was trying to write by myself. And I was I got to tell you guys, if we put this in the song and I don't like it, I'm taking it to another song because this is a thing that's been in my phone forever. And I don't want but I was but I think it'll work for the first line of this song. And so I did that, and we did, I had that little rhythm thing and we had that. And then Nicole's just silent over there, scribing something. And it's what is she doing over there? And she had that whole, what do you think about this? Till the cows come home to the barn bird. She wrote that whole part in one sitting. We didn't change anything from that.
Oh, wow.
So Nicole
cool.
freaking nailed that. So we all Matt brought in the idea of the Till the Rooster Crows thing. I had the first line and Nicole wrote that really important chorus part. So
Nice.
It was a group effort of just let's write a banger today. And I hope that everybody likes it and wants to party to it.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to all click the little mic button and so we can get a good listen to it. And here it is. The song's called Rooster.
Someone half my age when Mercury's in retrograde and my wow comes out to play when the stars come around. I'm educated in inebriation, a professional is sipping sweet libations. I need no reason, celebration now, up until the sun comes out. Little ring ding shindig, let's shoot out the lights. Songs don't rhyme, dogs don't bark, and rock don't roll till the barn burns down, the rooster crows. This honky-tonk troubadour needs a boost on the sawdust floor. Red solo cup, strong dive bar, pour to drown, up until the sun comes out. Little ring ding shindig, let's shoot out the lights. No, we ain't getting in to see it tonight. Till the cows come home and moon don't shine, and your sister don't bitch, and songs don't rhyme, the dogs don't bark, and rock don't roll till the barn burns down, the rooster crows. Fill your cup, let's get loud, up until the sun comes out. Fill your cup, let's get loud, up until the sun comes out. Fill your cup, let's get loud, up until the sun comes out. Fill your cup, let's get loud, up until the sun. Little ring ding shindig, let's shoot out the lights. No, we ain't getting in to see it tonight. Little ring ding shindig, let's shoot out the lights. Come on, raise your cup, y'all. We're staying up all night till the cows come home and moon don't shine, and your sister don't bitch, and songs don't rhyme, the dogs don't bark, and rock don't roll till the barn burns down, the rooster crows.
Yeah, man. I imagine you were talking about playing original music on Broadway. I imagine that one's still somewhat easy to throw in the set list in a rowdy situation. So
Yes, absolutely. We that has become my go-to when people request an original.
And
well,
so
it
go
plays into the to the party time too. So it's perfect fit. So, and you were talking about writing with everyone in the studio. If any people ask, why people move to Nashville, besides the gig, besides Broadway, that situation like that is probably happens multiple times a day. What you just described as far as in the
Every
studio,
single day, hundreds of times in hundreds of different places, it happens.
Right.
And just like that was a thing that I experienced in working with this producer, this was the first time working with like an A-list producer. Was I have a lot of songs that I've written. I have hundreds and hundreds of songs that I've written, but I didn't necessarily want to put out some of my best songs yet because I don't have quite the listeners that I wanted to. And so he had a library of hundreds of songs that were already written. And I was like, and some of them had been in there since the early 2000s, just sitting there. And it was my first time working with a producer that had a library like that. And so some of the songs that I put out last year, I did change every song that I did put out, but some of them were not written by me. They were written by somebody else, and I just went in and added my own touch to it. So I got writer's credit on them. But like they fit my brand, they were perfect. And there's hundreds of songs there's thousands of songs that exist in Nashville that no one's going to hear that are hits.
Absolutely. No question. Well, Soul Gravy, as the kids say, that song slaps.
Thanks. It's one of those songs for sure that I like. When we wrote it, I was like, did we just do that? Like,
Yeah.
did we? Like, yay.
We're just learning the current lingo. We're learning, you know,
The-
slaps and
A little
bus,
behind, so
bus
we're just
bussing
trying.
and whatever else. Yeah,
Busted, yes.
well, we're late, but we're learning. This is like a team effort here. We're coaching
It is.
each other on.
Yep. Well, I think also super cool. I mean, I think it's great that you share it, but it is kind of neat to hear the inspiration behind it. And because I immediately heard, Garth's song for sure when I was like,
Yeah.
oh, that's where the influence is. So
Yes,
yeah,
definitely.
it worked. It worked.
Hey, I ain't afraid to say where inspiration comes from. We're all inspired by something.
Yeah, super cool. I want to talk a little bit about your touring. So the first question is, how many gigs do you play in Nashville in a year, roughly?
Before COVID, I was playing 5 days a week, and 2 of those were doubles. So 3 of those were 4-hour days, and 2 of those were 8-hour days. And that's not counting like getting to the show, setting up, and all that stuff, and breaking down and all that. But the actual shows were 4
Right.
hours and then 8 hours. I have since cut down. That year that I was 2023, the year that I met you, I was only playing on Broadway 1 to 2 days a week. So I was on the road on Fridays and Saturdays pretty much every single week, if not for weeks at a time.
Gotcha.
So I had way less shifts down there. This last year that I came home, I said I was only going to do 2 days a week, and I upped my schedule to 4 days a week.
Still an amazing amount.
When I'm in town, I play Thursday through Sundays. And then a lot of weekends I'll play Thursday and Sunday, and I'll go on the road Friday and Saturday.
Gotcha. Okay, so 75 shows a year on the road. Would that be a fair number or more, do you think? Outside of Nashville?
Yeah. That this year it'll probably end up being about 50.
Okay, 50. All right. So just like I know there are some artists that like to hop in and watch these, but like that's pretty amazing. Like, how do you keep your voice up like that all the time? That's insane.
Lots of weed and cigarettes and tequila.
All right, there you heard it there, folks.
Yeah.
All right, yeah.
That's the key.
Maintenance
I
is important.
had a guy at a show maybe about a month ago, and I think he thought he was insulting me. Like, I think he thought he was being like funny. And it was an original show, and it was another band, like one of the other bands that was playing, like a band member. And he's like, "Oh, my bass player wanted to know how many cigarettes it takes for you to warm up." And I was like, actually, one usually. I usually have 1 cigarette before I play.
Good, right?
Like, you thought you did something there.
Yeah,
like,
no.
Yes, I do know I sound like I smoke cigarettes, and that
I
is
can't imagine that
why.
happening in Nashville. All right, so my other follow-up question is, you got to play Bonnaroo last year.
I did.
Tell us about that. That's
It
pretty
was
awesome.
It was really cool. It was like a side stage in the Rue Camp Rue, whatever thing. But it was still really cool. Got to like go backstage and have the same catering as like Post Malone and all the like big. I played the same day as Post Malone before all this country stuff came out last year. And it was just a cool experience. Bonnaroo is one of those big ones that's always like a bucket list one.
Yeah.
And one of my girlfriends, Twinny, who is a pop country artist here, she is from the UK. She is a British gypsy, and the first gypsy to play the Opry. And she actually had a show in the UK come up, and she needed to fill a couple slots last minute. And like a week before was like, "Do you want to play Bonnaroo?" And I was like, "Yes." And she's like, "I have this women stage that I have to fill for like 4 hours this one day. Do you want to play?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." And they had this backing band that was supposed to be this backing band that learned. There was 10 of us girls that played. And this backing band was supposed to learn all the songs, and we got there. The backing band did not learn really any of our songs. They had the charts there, but they didn't really listen to them to get like the 5. So the girls had to like play the beginning, and the band would like come in at it.
Gotcha.
Well, a couple of the girls didn't play guitar or anything, so these guys were just out of thin air, like figuring it out. And then we had 4 hours to fill. Or so, it was something like that. It was like a long chunk of time.
Right.
And there was an hour and a half left. And I was the second to last person.
Oh,
and they were like, hey, you play a bunch of covers. Do you think that you could like fill up some time?
I've done this before.
And I was like, hell yeah, absolutely. And I figured the backing band, because they were a professional backing band, would know, like, let's do, at first I started with like Bobby McGee. Never heard Bobby McGee. And then I was like, okay.
This is not going to go well.
I was like, Sweet Caroline. I was like, Don't Stop Believing. Like, come on. Like, what are they, like, so I ended up leading a bunch of acoustic, like, country roads and whatever. And you would think Bonnaroo would be like, people would be too cool for that stuff. Hell no.
They loved it.
In like 30 seconds of country roads, we had the whole audience like had filled up in this area, and everyone singing country roads, and then Don't Stop Believing, and all these lame cover songs. But it's like, no matter where, and I've played all over the world, no matter where you go, those songs give people a hype.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Well, that's a cool, I think that illustrates your ability to deal with challenges, change. Like, you seem to be very, from everything that I've seen, you kind of go with the flow and figure out the issue. So
things change on a dime every day. You can't take shit too seriously.
Well, that was a perfect one for you.
You've been there, done that. You've seen that situation before. So yeah.
I do also want to ask about, because I know you're, I think, headed back to Europe this summer. Is that right?
Yes, I am playing in Norway for the first time, and I am playing, it's a festival actually just called Country Norway.
Oh, cool.
And then I'm playing Country Calling in the UK in Essex. I'm playing that same day. I'm driving to Wales and playing that night. I'm playing at noon in Essex and then driving to Wales that night to play that night. And and then I'm going to Germany in September for 2 weeks to play a country festival one weekend and then a rock festival the next weekend.
So, I mean, that sounds amazing, but it also sounds, you've already done it once. So I guess the fear factor of, I don't know, I would be freaked out about my gear. I'd be freaked out about all the things that I could try to control that I probably would have not a lot of control over.
In late 2022 through 2023, I played in Europe 3 times, and every single freaking time it was a shit show with gear. They hate guitar players out there, and they make it so hard for guitar players to fly out there that it is just insane. Like, so the 3rd time I went back, I just in every city found somebody I knew or rented gear because it became such a hassle to bring my own gear, because they just freaking hate guitar players out there. They like just don't want you to, like, the trains and stuff make it great and easy, but if you have to get on an airplane, they are
disaster. Well, super excited. I do know that so my son's going to be in Norway this summer, so I'm gonna have to look up the dates and see if we can send him your way. If he's
I'll be there June 30th. I'm playing out in Norway.
Nice. Well, I'll check it out.
So you're still doing even those kinds of trips and stuff? You're still booking all of that in-house? You're still handling all that stuff?
Yeah, I'm super lucky that, which is why I really need a booking agent. But all my booking so far has been passive. And the venues and festivals reach out to me and, hey, what are you available for? What's your price? And I've been really lucky. TikTok has honestly changed my life. It is a way to connect to people all around the world with it being in their pocket. And I work really hard to create content that catches the eye. And twice a month, I spend 3 hours with my girl, Kelsey, and we create new content to my songs to hopefully have my songs reach out to other people. Since mid 2022 is when I got on TikTok. I got on TikTok in June of 2022, and I had my first pop in August. I've been able to really trial and error what goes out for my songs, and not every song pops off the way I want it to, but
Right.
I'm able to hit enough times that I've been able to, whether it be here in the U.S., I have a niche audience in Boise, Idaho. But I've been able to do all of my
Rebellious group.
yeah, I've been able to do all of my booking passively. Even when I came to Texas, where I met you, Steve, was Nate found me on TikTok, and he was a follower of mine, and we were mutuals when I had like 2,000 followers.
Okay.
And he was one of the first artists that I followed, and I try to interact on other country artist stuff so that
Sure.
we all got to support each other. And now that the TikTok ranking, how it all works comes out, it's like, okay, so comments are worth 2 points. So I guess I got to comment on more stuff, but
Right. It's wild. I am curious, just to jump in here a sec. I'm curious, when did Ghost pop off compared to when you joined TikTok? How long have you been on TikTok when Ghost popped off?
I joined TikTok Memorial Day weekend of 2022, so the last weekend of May, first weekend of June, whatever. And it popped off mid-August that year.
So pretty quick, yeah.
Yeah, I was doing all the things that I thought I was supposed to do on TikTok, and I was posting the get ready with me's and the trends and all that stuff because that's what was working for my friends.
Right.
And that did not work for me. And the very first time I posted one of my songs, it popped off.
What was that? What was your reaction? I'm like, just that whole experience of kind of having a viral thing. I don't know how I would react to something like that. So
honestly, I was pissed at myself because I was like, I just needed to be myself this whole fucking time that I've been in the music industry, and now I've been in the music industry for. It will definitely age me, but I've been in the music industry for over 25 years. And all this time, all I needed to do was play my music. And I tried everything except for just playing the goddamn music. And
We need Steve to start doing some more get ready with me's though. We need that on TikTok.
I don't think that's going to be a thing.
Do you guys like this hat or do you like this hat? Do you
This other hat up here.
This t-shirt or this t-shirt.
Right.
This band shirt.
Yeah.
Cody Jinks or Steelwoods? Which one are we doing?
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, it's just been Ghost never stopped for me, which has been amazing. That song never has been on a single playlist. It's never been pushed by the music industry in any way, shape, or form. And it's my first song to go over 1 million. It's a song that I wrote by myself. I produced with my ex-boyfriend engineering it. It was about my life, and I recorded it with my real band, not a studio band. And it's just very validating to be like, oh, other people feel the way that I feel, and they like what's in my brain. Like, that was what I needed to do this whole time. So I was chasing this whole, like, I've got to be this party girl that everybody likes and that everybody, wants to whatever. And it just made me finally be myself, which is so cliche. But when they tell you to just be yourself and be authentic, there's a reason. Yeah. And all of us have such a hard time as an artist, comparing yourself to other people and why isn't it working the way that it worked for this person or this person. It's like, because you're not that person. Right. You're just never going to be that person. So be yourself. And it's so hard. It's so much easier to say that than to do it.
For sure.
Yeah.
100%.
Let's talk about the TikTok thing a little bit more. It may be the same answer, and if it is, that's okay. But if you're going to talk to anybody that's putting out original music and kind of hesitant on using TikTok or just got their toes in, not really doing anything with it, what are some things what's some advice you would give them on that? And because I know everybody's they're unsure how to handle TikTok. A lot of people, especially anyone that's older.
The first thing is just post every single day, no matter what. Post every day, because it really does. You don't know, like my mom has a dog account and she's had 2 videos pop off and she only has like 200 followers and whatever, but like it's never the dog stuff of hers that pops off. It's the stuff of her, even just being her weird self that like, you know, so just post things until you find what works for you and who you are. And once you do, you can chase that or just keep posting, but you can't win a game you don't show up to.
Right.
I think a lot of people, like what you were talking about, you were getting together with your buddy and making content and stuff, and you know, I know I've known a couple, you know, folks that have, you know, kind of put some time into videos and then they post it, and then that's crickets, or you know, gets a little traction but not much, and it can be demoralizing. But
Yeah.
the only thing I can really tell them is one, wait a few months and post it again, but keep posting, you know, keep going.
Yes, absolutely. It's like, TikTok is the same as the whole music industry. If you keep showing up to the game, you'll eventually win. And it's the people that quit early that, like, Nashville is a 10-year town and people don't believe it. And after 3 years, they're like, all my dreams haven't come true. And all my, you know, and it's like, well, not all of us get to be Morgan Wallen and be here for 3 years and everything pops off.
Right.
That's not the normal story. That's the 1% story. But some of us might be the Lainey Wilson that were here for 13 years and then became the huge star. But you know how many people said no to Lainey Wilson?
Everybody.
Yeah.
And Chris Stapleton and
Yes.
Insanity.
Well, Chris Stapleton didn't even really, I mean, he had his bands and stuff, but he had pretty much just been like, I'm a writer now. Like, I guess that's the way it is, you know?
That's
And
what I try to
he
tell
was-
people. Just remember, he had songs that were shelved too. You know,
Yes.
and now that seems absolutely idiotic for that to happen, but it
Yes.
happened.
People should be fired.
Yeah,
Hopefully, yeah.
Well, and it's not just in country. I mean, Madonna.
Mhm.
Everybody told Madonna no. And that is fucking Madonna.
Right.
Like, Sonny left Cher and thought that she would be nothing without him. And look how that worked out. Like, Cher is one of my idols. And it's like, Cher was left by a man 20 years her senior, thinking that she was going to have nothing, and he owned all of the rights to the song still to this day. Like, she does not own any of the Sonny and Cher stuff.
That's
and
all.
she had a whole nother career after that.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's wild because they all have just first names. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I would like to know some crazy stories from the road, or some, you know, everyone, we talk about the maybe non-incriminating stories, but also a female out on the road. You know, you're supposed to have the look and do all these different things, but you're actually getting ready in the, you know, a truck or whatever the case is. I mean, shed some light on the reality of a touring female musician.
I have one that it just happened 2 months ago.
Okay.
And it will go down as, whenever somebody asks me at this point, a road story, this will now be and you guys are the first podcast. But
Oh,
I did
cool.
make it
world
real
premiere
about
folks.
it when it happened. But in December, my band and I were hired to come up and play a Christmas party in Canada. And I do all of the flights and I do all of the itinerary and all that stuff. And me and my drummer were both going to different places. So I was going straight to NFR to play an acoustic gig in Las Vegas. My drummer, as I had mentioned earlier, is in another band. And so he was flying to Florida to play a show down in Florida. And then my bass player, my guitar player were coming back to Nashville. So I booked those 2 tickets together, and then I booked mine and the drummer separate. And in the moment, I'm thinking to myself, like, weird that their flight is like a half an hour before ours, but like, maybe it's just because I booked them after or whatever. And I go on, I'm like, oh shit, I booked their flight for the wrong day. So I go in really quick and like change it. And I change their flights, thinking nothing of it. Like, okay, this is whatever. So the guys are going to get there 3 hours before me and the other the drummer because we had a different layover. And so I give them the point of contact phone number, and he texts the point of contact when he gets there, and he's like, hey, we're here. I don't see your truck. And he's like, oh, send me a picture of where you're at. And so he takes a picture of like the number that they're at. And he's like, you're in Calgary. And he's like, yeah, I'm in Calgary. And they're like, he's like, you're supposed to be in Saskatoon.
Oh.
And I sent half of my van to Saskatoon.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah, that was a $2,000 mistake for myself. So there went any profit that I was going to make off of that gig. And it was a very expensive mistake that I made. And my guys, luckily, usually we fly in day of because but you can't get to Saskatoon the same day if you have a gig that night. And so luckily we were there a day early. So I got them on the midnight flight. They got to Saskatoon at 1:30 in the morning. And they had to spend 24 hours in airports because of me, and they still haven't quit my van. So I'm really lucky.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Well, that says a lot right there. So
I sent them a couple $100 and was like, have fun at the airport.
Yeah. It's got to be something fun at the Calgary airport.
And that's
Cold
why she
showers
plays
is what
wagon
they
wheel. That's why you do wagon wheel.
That's right.
there.
Yes.
Right. 100%. Are we ready for a little rapid fire? And then we have a pretty important question to finish the podcast with.
Okay.
All right.
Just put a little pressure on you there. This will be the last time that I ask this question because now we are fully into the new year. But do you remember who was on your Spotify Wrapped from this last year? Or your Apple Wrapped, or I don't know what it's
So
called.
my Spotify Wrapped is usually full of songs that I need to learn.
Okay. That's a good
But
answer.
my number one played thing, I don't listen to music really. I've only listened to podcasts, and it's the Global News Podcast.
Oh, there you go. All right, cool. Shout out to the Global News Podcast.
Uh-huh.
We'll have to check it out.
Yeah.
Desert Island album. You get to take one album with you, and unfortunately or fortunately, you're stranded on a desert island. What album? would that
Purgatory by Tyler Childers.
Huh? Good choice. Good choice. I know Pam in the chat's going to be happy about that. That's a great one. You kind of alluded to this, but what would you be doing if you weren't doing music?
I honestly don't know. I've been playing guitar since I was 5. It's the only thing that I've ever known. I'm a talker, so I can maybe be a lawyer or something. But
Right.
if money were no option, I would be I'd volunteer to save all the dogs.
Okay. Well, that's those are all noble. I think we probably should offer Sheyna at some point to come in and co-host one of these because I think she'd be pretty good on the podcast.
Sounds good to me.
So yeah, there you go. Maybe an option there.
I could definitely ask people
Yeah.
questions.
Yeah, I think you'd be good at that. Dinner with one historical figure, and you get to choose from everybody that's ever lived. Make it really easy for you.
Yeah, that's I mean, it's gonna be a cliche one, and I am so sorry, but it would probably be Paul McCartney.
All right, nice.
I don't
Shout
think
out.
we've had a Beatle yet.
Really?
I
No.
don't think so.
No, that's good.
I'm
So-
more Led Zeppelin than Beatle fan, but I feel like Paul McCartney's met more people.
Yes, I think that's absolutely true.
Probably true. And Paul seems like a,
Sweetheart.
He's a Beatle,
Doesn't he?
but he seems really cool. So
He seems like an angel.
All right, next question. What does your ideal green room look like?
Ooh. Oh God. I don't even. Full of guitars that aren't mine.
Nice.
A floor to ceiling mirror. Big windows.
Okay.
So I can see outside of where
Yeah.
I'm at, and there's great lighting, and every kind of food.
Okay. Nice. Sounds great. It's a place I want to go.
Yeah, right.
it is. I'm laughing because we talked to not intentionally, but there's a lot of guys on this podcast. Full length mirror doesn't get said very.
No,
very
it's first.
very
That's a
often.
first. There's
I
a
wanna
couple
see
that I
my
think
outfit
might,
with
but
my
It makes complete sense. I just
Yeah.
wouldn't have thought about it. You know what I mean? Because remember, I'm picking out t-shirt and hat, so
right. Souls Get Ready With Me will be up
Right.
tomorrow, folks. Alrighty. I want to know what you see when you play. Like you're performing, what do you see?
How people react is
Okay.
I really, really pick up what people are putting down. If people are, if the energy is that there, I'm there, which is, goes without saying. But yeah, I react. I'm a reactive performer for sure.
Is that different in your Broadway shows
I
than
was
what
just
you?
thinking the same question.
Well,
No.
we could be brothers. Okay, same. All right.
No, it is. I treat every show like there is somebody in the audience that's going to become a super fan. And
Okay.
if I want to connect with every single person, whether it is 3 people in the room or 500 people in the room.
That's a great attitude, for sure.
What about your as far as your, like if you're doing an original show, you're gonna have a set list, I would imagine. But if you're doing a Broadway thing, it's probably pretty fluid, kind of. When you're doing the Broadway thing, are you watching the crowd and like picking another song to, like if that song didn't hit, this next song is going to? Is it kind of a mission for you to make that?
Yeah, I definitely, but I do the same thing with my original show. So
Okay.
I only write a set maybe 20% of the time. I kind of base my set on how people are reacting and what people seem like they want to experience in that time. But for Broadway, I hate even picking the song, and I try to make the audience pick the songs.
Understood.
That's cool.
Yeah.
All right, 2 more rapid fire, which are turning into not that rapid fire, but we'll stick. No, not your fault.
Sorry.
It's my own. No, it's my fault. So first concert that you ever attended, and then the first concert that you paid to see.
First concert that I ever attended that I don't remember is Oingo Boingo. My mom took me when I was 2. First one I remember was the Judds when I was 5, and my best friend's parents took me.
And then what was the first one that you paid for?
Probably a Warped Tour.
Okay.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah.
I didn't think Oingo. It's gonna be weird to say. I didn't have Oingo Boingo on my bingo card for tonight.
They're one of my favorite bands still
Yeah.
to this day.
It's Oingo Boingo. Yeah. Shout out.
That's the whole point of that question right
It's a good question. All right, and then this one could be interesting. Tribute bands, yay or nay?
Hell yes.
Okay, 100%.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
When I'm drunk, I like to hear covers, so I understand why other people. Okay, short story. I know this was supposed to be rapid fire,
No, you're fine.
but Sweet Home Alabama is one of my least favorite songs. And we play it every day. I have a medley that's like an 8-minute medley through Sweet Home Alabama. I never understood why everybody wanted to hear it. I was at the NAMM show, which is a music convention for people that don't know. But I was at the NAMM show, hammered. And I walked into one of the ballrooms, did not know I was walking into it, and Leonard Skinner was playing Sweet Home Alabama. And I was like, the one member that's left. And I was like,
There's
this
not
is
any
the
left.
best song ever. I'm like, now I understand.
You get it,
Wow.
right? You get it. Yeah, that's cool. That's super cool. All right, well, we are set up for the big question. This is I'm going to set it up for you, Soul Gravy. This is a question that started on our very first podcast. This is podcast number 80 something, I think. So shout out to you for not quitting, Soul Gravy, and also, it tells us a lot. So go ahead, Soul Gravy.
Okay. Thanks for that introduction there, Tabo.
Here to help.
Great job. All right. Sheyna, this, you've been in Tennessee for a while, so, this may hit. The world wants to know, what is your favorite Little Debbie snack?
This is so easy. The oatmeal cream pie.
Okay.
Team oatmeal cream pie.
All right.
The Nutty Buddies are number 2 though.
Whatever.
Man, she
Second
even
place
had
is for losers.
Yeah, she even had the correct names for them and everything.
She did. Yep.
Instead of what was that thing with the thing? And I'm like,
I love all of them. The Cosmic Brownie.
I know, but it really confuses some people.
It does. It does.
What are you guys'?
I'm oatmeal cream pie.
Yeah, I'm fudge round
Oh.
before Oliver Anthony, and I buy my own. So,
Yeah.
yep.
Well, y'all, thanks so much, everybody.
Unfortunately, unless somebody wants to buy, I'm not anti. So if somebody wants to buy
Right.
my fudge rounds, I'm fine
And
with it.
Also, little
The
Debbie. we're-
government or another person?
Either way, I mean, I do.
Right.
I mean, I have a full-time job, but I'll still take some free fudge rounds. I'm not,
We are
anyway.
still, shout out to little Debbie. We are still available for sponsorship.
That's right.
Everybody, thank you so much for being in the chat and participating. We know you all have subscribed to the Texas to Tennessee podcast, wherever you stream. But most importantly, we'd like to thank Sheyna for taking her time to hang with us, and make sure and go follow her wherever you stream. You definitely should follow her on socials as well. She really understands it and does a great job. So we appreciate your time. Thanks so much.
I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. This was a blast.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Sheyna.
Thank y'all.